Hey everyone, Usman here. Welcome back to another YouTube video. So today I am going to be talking about the Disney Plus Day announcements from Marvel Studios. I'm like really excited to talk about this. I can't wait. So if you haven't already, don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave a comment letting me know your thoughts about Disney Plus Day. Do you know what that is? Did you watch any of the presentation from Marvel about it on Friday, November 12th? Do you love any of the stuff they announced? All that kind of stuff. Just let me know down below in the comments. So I'm going to go down all the list of the Marvel things and I'll tell you how I feel about it. Alright, so starting with the first one, it is Marvel Studios' Agatha, House of Harkness. So I talked about Agatha Harkness, the character from WandaVision, getting a show on Disney Plus in the MCU probably a month ago or something. I talked about it in one of my other videos, so don't forget to check that out. It's going to be interesting to dive back into the origins of her character because she's like a witch. In WandaVision, they briefly touched on her origins. There was like an episode, I think in episode 8 of the series. I think they'll probably go into the origins of her character in this, as well as even, what happened after WandaVision. I'm not extremely excited about the show, but I'm going to watch it, obviously, and I think it's going to be good. So another show that was announced for Disney Plus Day was X-Men 97. It's going to be a revival of the 1990s X-Men animated series. When I saw that show, I really liked it. It's not my favorite Marvel animation series that they did back in the 90s. I actually have one other one which I'll mention briefly that I liked a lot, which I think is also pretty much worthy of a revival. The series was rumored to be brought back for like quite some time. It's just that we didn't really know when that was going to happen, as well as like it's a rumor, so you don't know for sure if that's even true or not. But seeing that it's a real thing and they announced it, and like that's coming back to fruition, that's pretty awesome. Now, some of the main voice cast is actually coming back, like the voice of like Wolverine and Beast and Rogue and I think Gambit. That's going to be very fun because I've seen like videos of like the cast or something at different conventions, and they were talking about how they would love to come back as these characters and play them again, voice them again. So that's going to be fun just to see that and what kind of different stories and everything that they'll take these characters. I saw the show like on Netflix, I think many years ago. Yeah, that was like a long time ago. Like I binged all 5 seasons because there's 5 seasons and I think there's like 70 plus episodes. It's actually on Disney Plus now, so people can get a chance to watch it if they really are interested or love that series. Okay, so the revival I really wanted was Spider-Man the Animated Series with the voice of Spider-Man Christopher Daniel Barnes. That was a series I actually grew up on more and that I really love because Spider-Man I think is like more of my favorite character. So he's like the one character that I wanted to see get a revival. Like, that series specifically get a revival because of just like there was some, I think there was like a cliffhanger at the end of the series where like he was trying to find Mary Jane with Madam Web and she disappeared or something and he had to find her. So the series was left on a cliffhanger. But X-Men was also a good series and I watched it. I'm excited for that too. It's supposed to come out in 2023, so in a couple years from now. So it's going to be very interesting to see what the animation style is going to be like specifically. I'm pretty sure they're going to stick with the same 2D style animation, hopefully stick with the same character designs, all that kind of stuff. I just think that's going to be incredibly like well polished. Then there's Marvel Studios' Echo. This character I heard has ties to Daredevil and Kingpin in the comics. She kind of fits in that sort of realm. I actually don't really know the character that much, but I heard about her, and I don't really know that much about her powers. I mean, I think I read about it briefly one time, but I don't really remember. I think I heard she's probably deaf or something. I could be wrong. People can let me know in the comments if I'm wrong about that, but that's what I heard. She's going to be in the Hawkeye series. They already got an actress playing her. This is like my least anticipated show, I think, out of all of them because I don't really have that much of an sort of understanding or connection to the character in terms of like, oh, I know all about who she is. But I'm willing to give it a shot. Some of the upcoming series as well that they announced, they didn't just announce it strictly on Disney Plus Day. They announced this like a long time ago, but they just sort of reiterated that this is still coming out, but I'm still going to bring it up anyways. There's Marvel Studios' I Am Groot. That's going to be a cartoon, like mini Groot shorts. I just don't care about this at all. It just looks very kid-like and childish to me, so not something that I'm really going to be into at all. It's just not my thing, so I think I'm going to skip out on that one. Then there's Marvel Studios' Ironheart. Don't know that much about her character really either. Well, I just know that she ties into Iron Man a little bit. She has been confirmed to be in Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever. So that will be our first introduction to her. She's going to be attending, I think, MIT. She's also really smart. And interesting to see how that ties into her own series that she'll be getting on Disney+. In the comics, I think Tony Stark, he sort of acts as like a mentor to her. Like, I know in the MCU, like, Tony Stark was more of a mentor to Peter Parker, so I'm mildly excited for this. Then there is Marvel Studios' Moon Knight. This is my most anticipated Disney Plus series that they've announced on Friday. There was a teaser that was uploaded on Disney Plus Day, so we got a chance to, like, get a first, like, 20 to 30 seconds of the upcoming TV series that will be coming out, I think, next year in 2022. They haven't given a release date for it yet. I cannot wait for the series. It looks like, based off the teaser, it'll capture, like, the look and the feel of the comic books based off what I've seen, like the darker nature of the character anyways, because in the comics he's a very dark character, I guess, depending on what run it is, but of the comics. A lot of people are complaining that it has to be like very dark in order for it to be taken seriously. People will love it, but I don't know, I just feel like with Moon Knight, I mean, he's a darker version of Batman, so like, I don't know, I don't think they need to make it so dark, because it can turn a lot of people off from that whole show and be like, oh, I'm not really interested in this because of excessive violence, and I'm the same. I just don't think it's really needed for that. I know a lot of people are like, we need to see that just to give justice to the character, everything, but I don't know. I don't think you need to do that. It looked a little darker than what you would be used to in an MCU thing, and they've done some dark stuff in the past in terms of, like, you know, exploring different themes and, you know, even sort of violence. So we'll see what happens. He has, like, different personalities. So he has personalities of Jacob Lockley, who I think is like a taxi driver, and then there's Stephen Grant, who is, I think, like a rich millionaire type of character, kind of like Bruce Wayne. And then there's Mark Spector, that is his main character. I think he was in the Marines, a mercenary. But there was one thing that I think seemed odd to me, was that Oscar Isaac, who's the main actor from Moon Knight, who was going to be playing him. He had like a weird British, sort of, I guess, Egyptian accent. And I always thought Mark Spector was American in the comics. I guess they're going for a different thing just to tie in with the Egyptian origins of the character. So that just seemed odd. Kind of seemed like he was doing British and Egyptian. That's a little minor complaint, but I still think he'll pull it off because he's a really great actor. And I guess I wish they could have shown his costume properly, you know, more of it. Then there's Miss Marvel, that's going to be coming out soon. She is a character that's been around for 7 years, so she's a relatively new character. Her powers are kind of like she can turn big and like stretch her arms and stretch every part of her body, just like how Reed Richards is in the comics. He can also stretch his body. Mr. Fantastic, he has that whole thing. So that's his power. So they want to kind of differentiate her from Reed Richards. So that's why I think they're changing up her power set in the series. And they are bringing in the Fantastic Four to the MCU, so that's fine. But not as excited as this as Moon Knight. I think this is my second favorite compared to the series they announced back in 2019. But I'm still very intrigued and excited to see what they do with it. Let's see if they knock it out of the park. Marvel Studios' Secret Invasion. It is going to be, I think, a Nick Fury-led series. Nick Fury, he just never dies. He's always sticking around. So my main sort of attachment to this whole thing is from Avengers EMH. It was a cartoon that came out like many years ago. They did a version of Secret Invasion, so that kind of was something that I liked in the series. It was in the second season. Pretty cool storyline. So that's kind of like what my attachment is to Secret Invasion, if I had to be honest. So it is going to be pretty interesting. And also they're bringing in Talos, who is a character from Captain Marvel, who is a Skrull. I think he's a good version of the Skrull, so we'll see how he ties into that. It's going to be both Nick Fury, Samuel L. Jackson, and then it's going to be Talos, played by Ben Mendelsohn, who's going to be in it. Marvel Studios' She-Hulk. This series I'm kind of excited for. I guess Abomination's going to be in the series, so that's going to be pretty cool. Tim Roth is going to be reprising his role as Abomination. Mark Ruffalo is going to be coming back. He is Jennifer Walters' cousin. Jennifer Walters is the main character of this series. She played by, I think her name is like Tatiana Maslany. So she's going to be the main character of the story. You know, she is basically a lawyer. She, I think, defends like a lot of the superheroes. Both Bruce Banner and her are cousins. She gets a blood transfusion from her cousin because I think she's brutally injured by like the mob or something. Not exactly a series I'm also like, oh my gosh, I'm super excited for. And her character was never really something that I was like, oh my gosh, I need to see a She-Hulk series. But I liked her, though. She was not bad. And there was a cool little nod to, like, the 70s Hulk TV series that I mentioned that I think is, like, my favorite Hulk series of all time, saying that it's going to be, it's like, don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. That whole line from the 70s series. I think I heard that might actually be a commercial for her law firm. Just a little nod and Easter egg for all the fans who love that series. Marvel Studios' Spider-Man Freshman Year. So this is going to be a cartoon. It's going to be telling the origins of how Spider-Man, like the MCU Spider-Man, got his powers and just his overall origins in the MCU, and they're going to explore that. I think that's kind of cool. I don't think we've ever really seen that done ever before with like the live action character and stuff. So that's going to be very intriguing. Hopefully the animation will look cool. I think it might be 2D. Maybe it might be like Into the Spider-Verse's animation. Marvel Studios' What If Season 2. I didn't love it, but I liked the animation for the series. Fun little multiversal type of stories that they made for individual episodes that were not connected to the MCU. Voice acting was usually good to probably mediocre. Hopefully season 2 will be better than season 1. It'd be kind of cool if they took like little elements from even the What If like the comic series or something. Took like one from the 70s, like took a comic story from the 70s and then they just implemented it into one of the episodes of What If, but I think they're focusing mainly on the MCU stories. So I guess that makes much more sense. But, just as a fun little thing, I would think why not? Marvel Studios, Marvel Zombies. It sounds like a cool little like animated project. I think it's probably based off like the What If episode that came out. I think that Marvel Zombies episode was probably, I think might have been one of my favorites of that What If series. As I mentioned, I'm not really a big fan of zombies. I just think they're kind of like not my thing. They're kind of like vampires, that whole thing. But if they're executed well, written well, I guess then I think they can pull it off. So I'll probably give it a shot. Just maybe check out maybe an episode. And just like a bonus type of thing, Armor Wars. I think, yeah, Riri Williams is going to be in the show. I think. I'm not saying definitively. I'm just saying I think. I think she's going to be in the show. That's just me speculating. So I think she'll be in the show, and I think she'll probably work with Rhodey in the series because it's going to be a way of continuing the Iron Man story like we never really saw before and how that'll tie into everything. So that's going to be cool. I'm very looking forward to Armor Wars. And well, those are, I guess, all of the Disney Plus Days announcements, some of which were announced beforehand, but they're sort of reiterating that it's coming out again. I'm still excited for all that stuff. The footage that we got, amazing. If I left anything out from Disney Plus Day, feel free to let me know. I hope and I think I didn't leave anything out, but you never know. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, all that great stuff, and I'll see you next time.